Raghunath, are you ready for this?
What?
The wisdom of the sages trainings that are going on.
Where?
At the Eco Village, the Govardhan Eco Village in India.
Why?
To totally transform your life spiritually.
Who?
You, me, Raghunath Swami's going to be there. Other great teachers are going to be there. Lots of cool people.
How?
You go to wisdomofthesages.com/events. You find all the information there.
Haribo.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Boston, Massachusetts, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Stuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Beantown. We did it. We squashed the Boston-New York feud in one show.
Oh, okay. Is that still a feud going on?
I don't know. But we brought Choke
exciting.
up on stage. We embraced.
Kidding.
We held hands. We spun in circles. We laughed. We cried until we laughed until we cried.
Did you blow a dandelion puff in his face?
Yeah, we exchanged roses and chocolate. And now
when you can do that with a guy named Choke, you know, that says a lot.
We sang a song together on stage.
Which one?
Well, we sang a classic Boston hit called Glue.
Okay.
We got to stick together like glue. He's got a good voice, man.
In New York, all the songs about glue had to do with sniffing glue.
Yeah.
In Boston, it was like
Boston was all about like unity and stuff like that.
Right.
But we had a great, pretty good show.
It was great. It
Wait,
was
let's hear from Mara's mouth.
Now hold it. Mara's all like aglow this morning. I'm a little bit concerned that she may have gotten caught up in all of this excitement, and perhaps her focused, exclusive, devotional kind of intent may have been in some way diverted into this world of punk rock, hardcore thing.
Mara, I won't do any talking. Mara, you explain your
perception of this
very
evening.
green perception, hardcore civilian.
And what was it like
goes
going
up.
in there?
What was she expecting? Maybe she was expecting an arena. Like,
What was she
you're not
expecting?
playing Fenway Park?
This place is tiny.
Wait a second.
I thought you were like in a
So the
popular
venue was
band.
about what I was expecting.
Okay.
No, it was so fun. Yeah, it was a
Okay.
great time. I loved it. And it was funny because when I got there and I was like, oh, this doesn't seem like so scary or chaotic.
It's
and then
different.
Then once you actually started playing, I was like, oh, I'm really glad I got a safe spot off to
Okay,
the
so
side
it
of
was
the
a little bit-
stage.
She was safe.
Yeah.
They called her Mosh Pit Mara yesterday. That was her nickname.
Knowing Jamie Step Dojo was there in the audience, I felt a little protected with a
There
couple
you
people
go.
that I knew. So
There you go. Okay. So you act, and musically, what was your opinion? Honestly, tell us the truth.
interesting.
It was interesting.
Yes.
Okay. But the energy, you felt
It
there
was
was a
great
good
energy.
positive energy.
Good positive energy, great crowd. It was really fun.
A
I
lot
think
of
that's
people
important.
like devotees. A lot of, I met that guy. Remember that guy, Dave Bukta,
Oh, yeah.
Wijamani.
Yeah. He's a professor.
He's like a professor at Brown. He's a Sanskrit. I haven't seen him in like 25 years. He was like an old straight edge kid.
Mhm.
Now he's a professor. And we were like, okay, tell me some shlokas. And we just had him telling us shlokas all day. Beautiful.
Reciting like the Govinda Gita.
I think he
Gita
did.
Govinda.
I think he did his PhD on Rupa Goswami or something. I forget, honestly. But yeah. Okay.
And now he teaches it. Yeah, I'm teaching Gita Govinda to my students this week.
Well, did you meet Al? Did Al come out to it?
You know what? Al is in a lot of physical pain. We're going to give
Oh,
a
I
shout
see.
out to Al. He texted me, really wanted to come. His wife texted me. If you don't know Al, he was an influencer before the word wasn't a word. And he was a staple in the Boston music community here in the 80s. And he listens to the show regularly.
An
he's-
influence
he
of
suffers from
your band, right? Like a big
real
influence for
big
your band.
influencer of youth of today. But they just never did lots of touring. So sort of like they handed us a torch and we just ran with it. But
Okay.
but he was a big influence in me and Parman on this life for clean living and loud music. And our heart goes out to him. He's suffering with a lot of physical pain.
Yeah.
And you know,
So he couldn't make
we
it.
we gotta like answer a question for him on the show because
Oh,
he was
he's a
trying to figure
question?
out the balance, you know, about like, okay, well, what about physical pain? What the hell?
Oh, we'll talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
Why don't we
today.
do that in the Q&A? Put together
Okay.
the question.
Okay, good. You hear that, Al? We need a perfectly formed question for Q&A. And I know it's hard to even hear anything about talking about transcending pain when you're in pain too. It's hard to hear, but hopefully it'll frame it out. Anyway, it was a great show. We missed you, Al. Great to see Jamie Step Dojo and all our other friends from Boston. It was beautiful.
Were there
actually.
some opening bands?
There were, but I didn't see them.
And Mara, did you see them?
Not really. But you know, we traveled with Sachi Suta. That's great.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, meeting up with Bob Healy tonight. It was great.
Okay.
Right. We got some good people.
But let's see, you know, so far Mara's like, oh, this was fun. This was great. Let's see by the end of the tour where she's at.
So,
Okay.
I don't think I'm sticking around for the whole tour. Just to
Okay.
clarify.
yeah, she's not.
You're coming
staying for the
tonight,
whole
though, right?
tour. No, she's.
Oh, maybe
No, she's
not.
not coming tonight.
No.
This is where
okay.
you step in, Kostuba.
All right. Oh, by the way, I got the Iyengar book in the mail and the Maha Prasadam from Jagannath Puri.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much for sending that.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. She sent it. It was my book.
Well,
FYI.
mine now.
If you want to thank people, you should thank both of us. It sounded like
I'll
you
think
went back
about
to
it.
her.
Yeah, I was.
All right. Yeah, tell us what's up.
Okay. First of all, there's no show tomorrow.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
and
just
then-
too much tomorrow.
Yeah.
But Saturday we're back at 8, right? With the Q&A.
Yep, Saturday.
Send in your
Q&A.
questions.
wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. There's also a Bhakti Recovery Group meeting at noon today, and tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. is Josh Kane's asana class for our Patreon members. If anyone
He's
wants to
good.
join. He's great.
He's good.
All right.
Mosh Pit Mara. That's her new name.
Mosh Pit Mara. Right.
Alrighty.
What are you ready, Raghunath?
Oh, I'm ready.
We got a lot to talk about today.
Okay, good. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Minatam Yena Tasmaye Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. You know what? If I could do it all over again, maybe I'd be a Sanskrit professor. You know what I mean?
I think you're doing
I
just
think I'd
what
really
you're meant
like
to do,
that.
Raghunath.
I think I'd really like it.
You might
will.
not. You might not like it at all. You might think, oh my God, you know, all I need is, you might get into the studying the language and you might say, you know what, it's just the meanings of it. You know, I feel like sharing them with people, and you just do that instead. And that's what you're doing now.
Yeah, and you couldn't have that religious passion that you have for Krishna. Maybe you could.
Oh, come on. Plenty of
Maybe.
Sanskrit people had that kind of passion.
Well, I mean, for your students, you're not supposed to speak in a religious way. You're supposed to.
Well,
be
it depends
very
what kind of
objective.
school you're in. Oh, you mean like in a
Like I want to
university?
like he's teaching at Brown. He's a professor at Brown. I would like to be a professor at Brown.
Why, Raghunath? Why?
Prestige, perhaps?
For
Well,
the
maybe
prestige?
Maybe prestige. Maybe my mom would be like, he's a professor at Brown. I'm so proud of him. You know what I mean? But he's still a Hare Krishna.
For your
That's
mother?
cool. What's that?
For your mother? You want to do it for your mother?
Maybe for my mom. Maybe that's why.
Next life. I was
There's
thinking
always
about this.
time
You know,
for a
we
do-over.
read in our Shastra that like one person can be existing in two different forms. You know, that their awareness can actually manifest in two different forms. Right? Like you could be in Krishna Leela and Chaitanya Leela at the same time. Think about that, Raghunath, right? Maybe someday you'll be able to do two things at once. But for now, it's been a life well lived, Raghunath. Let's just finish it off well, okay?
Let's just come die with me. I'm Raghunath. Come join my retirement home at Govardhan Hill. Who's in? I'd like to know who on the message board on Zoom would join me in my retirement home at Govardhan Hill.
I don't see any hands
at
going up.
least
Nothing. No one.
to join.
No. Okay, we got Dan. We got David Charles Wilson.
I know. Well, I'm not going to start it yet.
Okay.
Look, you got people.
See, Jiu-Jitsu not. They're all signing up here. Narayani's in.
Writer, you got David Charles.
Danny
Oh,
K.
Chuck
And we'll have
wants to
different
go.
levels for whatever you can afford. We'll have scholarships for people. I have no money, but I still want to die with you. We can take care of you. You know?
Now, Karuna's mom said me, but I don't know if that's Karuna. That's
Yeah,
Karuna that said,
might be
Karuna, you're too
Karuna.
young to think about
You're too
dying.
young. She's like Shabari. We're all going to self-emoluate.
Okay, Raghunath, let's get into it here, okay?
Ram's come personally to liberate me.
You ready?
From Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 29, Text 28.
Yeah, although I think maybe we got to read 26 and 27 again.
Come die with me.
All right. He's
If
getting
you
a little
missed it
giddy.
the other day, I'm talking about my retirement home that I'm going to create after I'm 65. It's got a little twist of hardcore, but we get together regularly and sing songs, bhajans. We
Do
eat
we
healthy.
eat very simply?
We eat simply. We laugh together.
Sleep
Go
on
to
the
bed.
floor?
Yeah,
Very simple accommodations.
simple accommodations. It's not going to be golfing. It's going to be simple hearing and chanting with the community of people that we bring up. Kostuba will stay there with us. Will you stay with us?
It sounds perfect to me.
Retirement home.
Yeah.
That would be a glorious way to leave, Kostuba.
Yeah.
The Wisdom of the Sages retirement ashram.
No matter
I'll let
how
you in on
miserable
it.
that
I'll let you in on it.
no matter how miserable that death would be, it would be a Govardhan.
Yeah, we'd be at Govardhan. But I love the whole Wisdom of the Sages community singing and chanting to me as I'm leaving my body.
Yeah.
It'll
Well,
be wonderful.
that's for sure.
Kostuba holding my hand.
No.
Chant, Raghunath, chant. Think of sweet Krishna.
And then you're squirreling off. No.
No, I say,
Bring it back.
let me tell you the story.
Okay, Raghunath.
Okay.
Text 26 and 27. We're talking today about the modes of material nature, and I think we need to discuss this at some length,
Okay. Great. The living entity. I love the modes. The living
ones?
entity by nature has minute independence to choose his own good or bad fortune.
Mm-hmm.
But when he forgets his supreme master, the personality of Godhead, he gives himself up unto the modes of material nature. Being influenced by the modes of material nature, he identifies himself with the body and, for the interest of the body, becomes attached to various activities. Sometimes he's under the influence of the modes of ignorance, sometimes the modes of passion, and sometimes the mode of goodness. The living entity thus gets different types of bodies under the modes of material nature.
Okay, so what are we talking about here, right?
What the hell?
What are we talking about?
This
There's some
classic, cool 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, love it. 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, all deal with the gunas. You know, the yoga, if you're in a yoga teacher training, you touch on it, but you really want to understand these things. It's set up in such a beautiful way that even if you don't believe in God, spirit, etc., if you can fully understand the modes, you can live a happy life. It's set up just to be happy. You know, and of course, if you understand spirit, you understand, okay, it's beyond goodness. We got to transcend ththese gunas, and that's where the Bhagavad Gita really kicks it into gear.
Okay.
Give me that shloka, Kostuba.
Just say it again. What's your
I said the Bhagavad Gita talks about the gunas, but then it comes in hard and tells you how to transcend them.
Oh, Daivihesha Gunamai. That one? Daivihesha Gunamai, Mam Maya Duratiya, Mam Eva Ye Prapajante, Maya Metang Tarantite. That's right on point, Raghunath. You're looking for another one?
Well, I'm looking for the 14th chapter, last verse.
Oh, the 14th. Oh, the last verse in the 14th chapter. You tell me. Oh, Bahu.
No.
No.
Someone put it up on the board. I can't remember it.
Maybe Karuna knows it.
Do the translation of Daviesha.
That these modes of material nature, they're my energy, right? These three modes, they are my energies, and they're very difficult to overcome. But for one who is surrendered unto me, can very easily cross beyond it.
That is on point, but there's
That's on
another one I
point.
was thinking of.
Yeah, I know the one that you're saying, but somehow it's slipping my mind.
It's okay. Anyway, check out everybody. Your homework today is to read the 14th chapter, just the verses, and 17th chapter, just the verses, and enjoy it. Enjoy it. Take notes, perhaps.
Oh, I think you were looking for 1426, not 27 is the last one. But
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
looking
yeah,
for
yeah,
Mam
yeah,
Cha
second
Yov
last.
Yabicharena.
Mam Chayov Yabacharena Bhakti Yogena Sevate. Boom. How can you argue with Bhakti Yoga after reading this verse? Read that, please.
One who engages in full devotional service and full bhakti, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature, and thus comes to the level of Brahman, the spiritual level.
Boom. You just engage all your senses in bhakti and you transcend the gunas and you come to Brahman. It's that quick. It's that easy. We're giving you a shortcut.
Okay, but what are the gunas? That's my point. I think if people are unfamiliar with this, it's so. I'm going to read you something.
It's the great
Raghunath.
Puppeteer. Pulling us, yanking us.
I'm going to read you something, Raghunath. Okay.
Hit me.
We all like to think of ourselves as independent and free. Do we not?
Oh yeah, we pride ourselves.
We move through the world with the confidence that at every step we're free to make clear choices and determine our own path.
Mm-hmm.
That we can stand up and exert our own free will, unaffected by outside influences, that we can think for ourselves. Right? What are you taking off your sweatshirt?
I'm hot.
All right.
All right.
Okay. You heard me out? You heard that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, imagine yourself transported to a realm, Raghunath, where your very mind was susceptible to being altered by outside influences. All right. Imagine
now.
Well, that's where I'm going. Imagine what it would be.
What do you mean imagine that?
Imagine what it would be like if, without your knowledge, external forces could work their way into your mind, affecting the clarity of your thinking, affecting the focus and intensity of your desires, and even modifying your emotions.
That's everything we're doing. That's any type of association we get.
Okay.
Don't underestimate the potency of the people you hang out with, the media you consume, the place you live.
You're blowing the punchline.
Place you live.
You're blowing the. Hang with me. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Imagine if these.
Basically, you want me to shut up, and you.
Well, no,
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Not exactly. Imagine if these outside influences weren't just some isolated threats that, with a bit of effort, you could easily avoid or block, but that they were inescapable, that they were everywhere, insidiously woven into the tapestry of every object you encounter and every circumstance you experience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, imagine that. Well, I've got some good news and some bad news, Raghu.
The good news is you're helpless. The bad news is there's a fraction of hope.
No.
There's an escape, like those escape rooms. Do you ever go to one of those escape rooms?
I don't even know what it is.
The kids are into it nowadays. Escape rooms. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we're going to start with the bad news.
Okay.
This world of mental trespass that I've been describing, it's not some fictional realm like the Twilight Zone.
Did you write this?
Yes.
It's very good, man.
You like it? Okay. I'm glad you like it. With meticulous attention to detail, the sages of the yoga tradition have outlined how the very world we live in is permeated by three agents that do exactly as described. They violate our awareness.
Ooh, violation. Yeah.
Okay. Now for the good news. And the good news, Raghunath, is twofold.
It's twofold.
Yes. One, we can break free from the influence of these agents through the practice of yoga. And two, one of these three agents is for the most part friendly and can be remarkably helpful in yoga practice. All right. So the three agents I'm speaking of are called the gunas, or the three modes of material nature. The modes of material nature are the third program. This kind of refers to something I was writing, but it's like a program that's been installed into the virtual reality of the world that we're moving through.
like
All right.
it.
So this is what the gunas are. That actually, this is yogis are wandering around saying that everything that I encounter and every one that I encounter is having it's radiating an influence that comes through my senses and enters in and shapes and colors my mind. It colors my perception. It affects my very feelings. It affects my emotions, you know. And they understand the science of this, whereas most people are walking around entirely unaware of it. It's like you're clueless to all these effects on you.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah.
So the yogi is learning to be really, really understand that I'm susceptible to these influences. I need to be aware of it. And I need to, well, let me read this next part to you, Raghunath. Remember, you ready?
Keep going. You're good. This is very good.
I'm glad you like it.
Is this an article, a booklet?
This is
you got a lot of stuff stored in there, Kastuba.
Well,
I want to see you dedicate the next 10 years to writing books.
Oh man. You know, but I scripted this for those videos that we recorded in London. Which haven't been released yet. But but basically it's half a book written, you know, so I just have to write the other half now. So this will eventually be a book. We're wandering around blind and susceptible if we're not acutely aware that whatever I associate with and whatever I allow my senses to take in is going to influence my mind in one of these three ways. Mm-hmm. And so a wise person who's endeavoring to gain control of the mind learns how to make it work for them rather than against them. Right? I'm going to use these modes for my advantage. I'm going to get myself in the in the radiation of sattva guna. Then the whole thing is going to become easier, right? So the yogi has come to this understanding, this basic understanding, but this very important understanding that my mind is not me. They've come to understand how the mind is being programmed and how very often the mind is working against my better interests. And they think all these aspects of my life are important. The places that I hang out, the people I spend time with, the foods that I eat, the music that I listen to, the time I go to sleep, the time I rise. The media we consume, all of that. And all of these have an influence on my mind. I need to understand what's making that mind more problematic and what's making it more favorable for my practice of yoga, for my freedom, right? So that I can be free, so that I'm not controlled. And they do this by learning how to recognize these different modes and by narrowing down their field of experience in the direction of the mode of goodness, in the direction of the sattva guna. So they rise early in the morning. They keep their homes and their bodies clean. They eat pure, healthy food and not too much of it. They avoid the rajasic and tamasic entertainment and media coming through television and the internet. Yeah. They spend their time with people who embody sattvic energy. And like this, they find some contentment and peace. And now this next point is crucial, that only when one is content can one focus inward. So if I'm discontent, my mind will always be going here or there. It'll always be distracted and trying to adjust. This is real important, and trying to adjust something external. And Bhagavatam's going to go there today. We're going to read about this. I'll always, if I'm influenced by the mode of passion or ignorance, I'm always trying to adjust what's going on externally. It's only the sattvic person that's like, I can deal, you know, like it's all right. And then they have the ability to go in. And so let me jump back in here. And there will always be something to adjust.
I'm ready to pick apart your whole thing, give my own purports.
Hit it.
All right. Here's the easiest way I understand this. And me and young Tommy Fawcett. Do you know about young Bhakta Tommy?
I haven't met him yet, but
he's coming to India.
Okay.
Excited to meet you. I had to talk to his dad yesterday. Sweet kid. But he's talking, you know, it's very hard after coming back from a pilgrimage where he's just like fully engaged in it all, going back to his old crew of kids, teenage friends that he was hanging out with. And I was telling him about my life when I got really into bhakti. And I started having to re-examine what friendship is. And when you start getting into bhakti, you become very careful what you consume through your ears and your mouth and your eyes. And you start developing a higher taste. Like, I don't want to just talk about ladies like they're actually merchandise. I don't want to talk about women like that. And I wanted to get rid of that type of lust in my consciousness and treat people like commodities. So I stopped that language. And then I decided, like, I don't want to gossip anymore, and I don't want to find fault with people. So I stopped that type of language. And then I want to say, I don't want to be rageful. I don't want to be rageful. And I don't want to hold on to grudges. I want to let go of that. And I stopped that. Now, I didn't already drink or smoke, so that was easy. But what I realized was, like, a lot of my conversation just had to do with lust, criticism, gossip. And after a while, I realized my friendship was based on these very, very low vibe energies. That's how we communicated. And without that, I didn't know how to communicate anymore. And the people who do want to say criticize or speak like that, they almost draw you into their conversation because that's all they know. Now, the same is true with food or diet, or let's take the extreme low end of that, which is, say, suppose a person is addicted to a hardcore drug like cocaine, heroin, something like that. And they're just like, that's what an addict, that's all they want. You can't say, hey, you want to go out? There's an organic restaurant down the road. A heroin addict doesn't care about your organic Ayurvedic Divya's kitchen. You know what I mean? The heroin addict is not signing up for Divya's Ayurvedic cooking course. All they can think of is, how can I get my fix? Even though that fix is dismantling their entire existence, even though that fix has ruined their family, even though that fix previously has destroyed their marriage, destroyed their work, they want that fix. So what's going on is the gunas make you feel like, no, I'm choosing to get my heroin. You're not choosing it. Heroin's choosing you. Your addiction is choosing you. Your passions, your desires are owning you. And to the degree that you give in to them, they start to possess you. It's only the people that can get to sattva. And that's why the entire yoga community, not even bhakti yoga community, the entire yoga community, everything has to do with bringing the consciousness to sattva in your pranayama, in your mantra, the way you eat, the way you cook, the way you offer food, the way you play drum or musical instruments, the way you do gazing, gazing at a flame, chanting, sitting of mantras. Everything is sattva, pujas. They're all meant to bring the consciousness to sattva. And from sattva, there's some clarity. Right. And I think a lot of people, when on pilgrimage with me, experience this. You get into this sattvic mode with a bunch of high vibe people, and you start to juxtapose it against what you were doing. And you're like, wow, see how they're behaving? See how I'm behaving? See how nice this feels? How can I keep this in my life?
Yeah.
I want to be this. And that's the potency of hanging out with saintly people or a community of people endeavoring on a spiritual path. It makes you up your game. It makes you raise your bar. It makes you jump a little higher.
Very nice, Raghunath. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. That was unprepared. It just floated out of my mouth.
All right. So then let's read these next few verses. And there's just a little chunk here where it gets into this, Narada is speaking to, is speaking to Prachini Barishat and sharing a little bit about these modes. Hey guy, you've been influenced by these modes of material nature. We're trying to help you out of it right now.
Yeah. Text 28. Those who are situated in the mode of goodness act piously, according to Vedic conjunctions. Thus, the people, they are elevated to the higher planetary systems where the demigods live. So this is interesting, right? Isn't it? That there's higher planets better than this planet. You think you got a good apartment, a good condo, a good co-op in Manhattan? Guess what? There's better planets. There's better real estates. All you got to do is figure out how to act piously and what that means. And then you take a higher birth. And there's some people who follow a Vedic path. You won't find out about this at Yoga Works or something like that, but there's yogic paths to promote yourself to higher places in your next life. Bhakti, we're not interested in this. It's been rejected from the second chapter of the Gita. So thus they are elevated to higher planetary systems where demigods live, where sages live, where perfected beings live. Those who are influenced by the mode of passion engage in various types of productive activities in planetary systems where human beings live. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. This is all in the 14th chapter as well. Similarly, those influenced by the mode of darkness are subjected to various types of misery and live in an animal kingdom.
Animal kingdom. Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
Yes, you live in the Mutual Omaha Wild Kingdom. That's where you go.
You remember that? I haven't thought about that in years.
Remember Jungle Habitat in New Jersey?
No.
You like drive through in your car and a baboon jumps out on your on the hood of your car. I think they ended those things.
Never went to that.
It was like a okay.
Okay, so I think we need to discuss these modes just very briefly, right? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas.
Well, come on. Here, I'm gonna get. Let's face. Let's go to Tamas. It's nice to look at the extreme. If you think about people who are addicted to stuff, what do you get addicted to? Drugs, alcohol, sex. I mean, the sex industry is such a dark, insidious place. It's sort of like, it's like a slippery slope. There's a pretty girl. You get to try to a pretty girl. You click on this. That leads to a video of this. That leads you to pornography. That leads you to pornography on a regular basis. That leads you to addiction. That leads you to prostitution. This stuff is like a real underbelly out there. You know, it's a real, I'm watching Shantaram, so it's a real underbelly world that people, especially men, get addicted to. And there's always suffering involved. It's not like it's just, I'm helping her out. You're not helping anybody out if you get into pornography. You're not helping anybody out. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of suffering because that's what happens in the mode of ignorance. The Gita will tell you, but you can also experience it. When you get in the mode of ignorance, get ready. You're sinking in quicksand, and there's a ripple effect of pain you're causing on everybody, including yourself. So when you do with drugs, anything that's addictive like that, you should say you are getting possessed by your very lowest self. And you feel, and anyone who's addicted to anything, even eating a bag of Doritos, you will feel like, I can't stop. And it doesn't even taste good. Ever do this one, Kastuba? I can't stop eating. This never happens to Kastuba. I can't stop eating these chips. They're not even good anymore, but I can't stop. It's nothing more sad than being trapped within your own body and mind. That's the lowest. So that's the extreme low.
Yeah.
There's no Raja meets Tamas. Tamas gets real dark real quick.
Well, I would say that not being like eating something and not being upset, that's Rajaguna especially, right?
Well, it depends where it goes. You know what I mean?
Well, okay.
If you're talking about like, yeah.
Well, so let's talk.
Twist of violence, anger, depression.
Yeah, I mean, if you drop the potato bag and punch someone in the face.
Well, I was just saying with drugs and just like nodding out on the street on drugs and falling.
Okay.
So
let's talk about the three. Let's discuss. Let's go right to the 14th chapter. Okay, you ready?
Yes, I am. I love this. Is one of my favorite non-bhakti chapters. I'd say it might be my favorite. One of my favorite chapters. Chapter 14, even though it's not the most spiritual.
Oh, because you mean when you say non-bhakti, you mean not from the middle 6 chapters of the Gita?
Not from the middle 6 chapters. It's the favorite non-bhakti chapter.
But there's plenty about bhakti in it.
Yeah. But I just like thinking the gunas are an incredible. I would just like giving classes on the gunas.
Okay, so this is what he says first about, and just to frame this out a bit more, right? We're saying that there are 3 fundamental, like you could take, how they break down the material elements into that chart. Let's go the elemental chart, right?
We call it in my circles periodic table of
periodic table. Thank you. Okay.
Anything else you want to know about high school chemistry,
Mr. Professor? So so that's like taking one huge category of energy and breaking it down into however many. How many are there, Raghunath?
64, actually.
That was a guess. Okay.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Totally speculating.
And so, but you break it down to many. If what the yogic teachings are saying, what the Gita is saying, and these other texts like Bhagavatam are saying, is that you could take all the energy that exists, and the first thing you do is you could break it into 2 categories. There's spiritual energy, which is unaffected by time, right, and is conscious, and there's material energy, which is affected by time, is constantly in shift, is constantly in flux. And it is non-sentient, right? It has no
Mhm.
feelings. And so then now
Sing
let's
it. I
let's
got no feeling for anybody else except for myself, my beautiful self.
yes, that was a Sunkya related song.
Yes.
And so then
Sunky related Sex Pistols.
so then you could take that second category, the material energy, and you could break it into three categories, three varieties of energy, right? And those are sattva, rajas, and tamas. Each, it's saying that in the material realm, everything is composed of a blend of these three energies. That means like it means like every object,
Everything.
but everything, like even like times of day, are made of these three energies.
The colors that you wear.
Yeah, everything.
Just ever see the funny story was me and Mara were in Greece, and it was like this pristine island with no one around. And we walked down these very long flight of stairs to a dock. And there you saw this crystal clear blue water, nobody around. And we dove into that water. We're swimming around that water. And then we're like splashing, frolicking, laughing. Then we turn around and there is one of those Eastern Orthodox monks. And he was on the stairs holding his rosaries and he's draped. He's like 100 degrees out. He's got the entire black cloak on with a giant black hat and a giant cross around his neck and rosary. We turned around and we're like, it's such a scary Halloween moment that we almost jumped out of our bathing suits. It was so freaky. But yes, my point is this.
What is your point?
My point is,
that was a wonderful little adventure.
The colors you wear affect your consciousness. Matter of fact, a lot of Hindus, you know who follows this also? Rudolf Steiner people who follow anthroposophy. They wear colors according to the day of the week because it affects the demigods and their planets.
Right.
You know that?
Why did you get those bright red sweatpants, Raghunath? And how do you feel when you're walking around in those?
I feel like I'm owning my independence.
Okay.
You know, like my bright red sweatpants.
I didn't say that I didn't like them. I'm just asking how do you? But
but you know what? I like wearing all white. Truthfully, here's the deal.
Yeah.
If I was anybody else, I'd wear all white. I'd wear white shirts, white everything, white coats, white hats, white socks, white sweatpants. Everything would be white. But I'm me, and I get dirty. I spill things all the time. So I have to mix it up a little.
All right. But yeah, it's a fact. Dress yourself entirely in red one day and walk around and see
how you feel.
See how you feel and see how it makes other people feel, how people respond to you.
Mara, Google this up. What are the colors you're supposed to wear? I want to know what colors you wear according to Hinduism for different
green on Wednesday.
How do you know?
I just know.
You're just speculating.
No. I've been told about that. At least maybe for me, I'm supposed to wear green on Wednesday. But in any case, so the point is this, is that every object is made of a blend of these three energies. But within every object, one of the energies is predominant. And the influence of that energy radiates from that object and it enters into your senses and through your senses into your mind. So that wherever we go and everywhere we return, there's going to be a particular energy coming at us from every object. Okay, Raghunath,
all right.
Go ahead.
Here we go. Ready?
Dying to read this, yeah.
I'm dying. White is the color of Monday. Sambar. Red is the color of Tuesday. Mangalvar. Isn't it interesting? Tuesday is Mangalvar. Green is the color of Budvar.
Told you.
Wednesday. Budvar is Buddha.
You can apologize to me now, Raghunath. I'll accept your apology. And whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Yellow is Guruvar. That's Jupiter. That's Thursday.
Okay.
Light blue is on Friday.
Is red on Saturday?
Shukravar. That's like, what's that?
Is red on Saturday?
Black on Saturday.
Oh, black on Saturday. That's right. Yeah.
That's for Shani. Shani's black.
For Shani.
And Sunday is orange.
Okay.
That's Ravi. Sunday is Ravi.
Thank you. All right. So what we haven't discussed yet, Raghunath, is what are those three influences? What are the different influences? What is the influence of the sattva guna? What is the influence of the rajaguna? What is the influence of the tamaguna? Bhagavad Gita is going to tell us.
How about this one? How to change those influences.
Well,
Because
first you
another
need to know
interesting-
what they are before
Well,
you can
another
change
interesting
them.
thing is you are born with a dominant guna. I'm like looking at faces right now. There's Kylie Brown. There's the crazy postman, Amari. There's Isabel Bilodeau. There's David Charles Wilson, AJ Sullivan. They're all born with a dominant guna. And that's own it. They can't help it. It's part of their karma. And it's directing us whether we like it. Some people love addictive things, and some people are incredibly regulated. You know how you can tell a person's dominant guna? Go into their car and see how clean it is. See what's on the floor.
Okay.
Is it a mess? Is it organized? Is it clean? Is it meticulous? Right? Look at your apartment. You're very Sattvic. You know why, Kostuba? You
Because I have
like
a Sattvic
live in a
wife.
showroom. You live in a Krishna conscious showroom. It's like
I
IKEA.
don't feel like that.
Everything
Feels like
it
right at
does.
home.
Come on. There's nothing out of place.
There's not even like a speck of dirt in there.
There's no. It's a showroom. Do you even live there? Do you live in that house?
You are blowing this out of proportion. It's a relatively
I'm
clean
dead
apartment.
serious, people. Trust me.
Okay, now let's talk about these three influences, Raghunath. You ready? Bhagavad Gita is going to talk about them. Okay, so this is 14th chapter. Krishna says to Arjuna, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all bad karma. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. All right, so when you come into contact with sattvic energy, sattvic place, sattvic people, sattvic music, sattvic food, right? It's gonna contribute towards your moving towards contentment. It says happiness, and I think we can especially think of that in terms of contentment, right? I have what I need. Everything is good, and knowledge that I can see clearly. I mean, one is related to the other, right? That I can see clearly, that my mind becomes illuminated, right? That I have lucid thought. That's the influence of the Sattvaguna. Now, Rajaguna. You ready, Raga?
Hit me.
He says the mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. That's
ever feel that?
All the
Unlimited
time.
desires. I want to do that. We mask that as I'm a dreamer. No, you have unlimited desires and longings. It's a little different.
Yeah.
I'm a dreamer.
So this is kind of the opposite of Sattvaguna. Sattvaguna means like everything is okay. I have what I need. Rajaguna is saying I don't have what I need to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
I need something else. Something needs to change, right? The way things are right now is not good enough. I need things to change. So the whole verse says, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruit of actions. I'm trying to achieve something that I don't currently have. I won't be happy until I get it. That's the essence of Rajaguna. All right. And then the third one, tamas. Known, O son of Bharata, O Arjuna, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence. What exactly is indolence?
Mara, you went to private school. What does indolence mean? She doesn't know.
I'll look it up.
Following the rules, I think. Yeah.
That's not what it means.
Not following the rules? Is that what she said?
Yeah, that's what I said.
You better go back to private school, Mara.
Well, she might be right, Raghunath. She might be right.
Inclination to laziness or sloth.
Okay, sloth.
Okay, there's a little off, a lot off.
Okay. So, well, I suppose if the rule is that you're supposed to be awake, then it would.
There we go.
Indolence. Wow.
So the result of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which binds the conditioned soul. But there's a lot of madness in this world. In one sense, the whole world is mad right now, right? It's like it's running like crazy. So one of these three influences radiating from any object, any circumstance, any environment, any food, any music, and all of that, any person,
Literature. Right?
literature,
media, hair. Hair.
Well, I suppose.
You could have Sattvic hair. You could have Rajasic hair. You could have
I mean, if the hair is
Tamasic
clean,
hair.
and so the yogi is very aware of this. They're very aware as they move through this world about what, and therefore they can move towards Sattvaguna. you know. So let's read these next couple of verses. We're getting a little low on time, but why don't we read a few more, Raghunath?
Sure. Covered by the mode of ignorance in material nature, the living entity is sometimes a male, sometimes a female, sometimes a eunuch.
That means
Sometimes-
both again, right? We went through that.
I don't think we
last-
talked about that yesterday.
We did talk. Not yesterday. It was.
We talked about it off camera.
No. We talked about.
Did we have
this
our
on the
whole
show.
private eunuch conversation the other day?
No, we talked about it on the show. That literally the word here used is, it said, let me pull it up.
I thought it was a private eunuch conversation.
No, it was public.
Oh no, we were talking
We
about
had a public-
hedras.
We talked about that on the show too. But the word here uses, it says pumam, male, stri, female, and then ubhayam, both. Sometimes you identify as male, sometimes you identify as female, sometimes as both, right? It's kind of
Sometimes feel like a nut.
it's showing that non-binary recognition there. Okay.
Sometimes, all right, let me start this one again. I'm going to start laughing. Covered by the mode of ignorance in material nature, the living entity is sometimes a male, sometimes a female, sometimes a eunuch, sometimes a human being, sometimes a demigod, sometimes a bird, an animal, and so on. In this way, he's wandering within the material world. His acceptance of different types of bodies is brought about by his activities under the influence of the modes of material nature.
I mean, you
When
want
you-
to talk,
you-
when you enter into that animal body, into a plant body, you really get your
Well,
freedom
me
really
share
gets
my-
limited.
Animal realization.
All right.
Okay. So certain animals like deer, like sheep, like cows, they're very sattvic. Why? Grass eaters, Kostuba.
Grass eaters.
They eat,
Okay.
and even the feces of such animals is not so bad. You get into meat-eating animals, hawks, right? Cats, tigers, dogs. Their feces is gross. That rajasic, they're eating live. They'll, the dog will chase the.
Mr. Science over here.
Well, ever see packs of dogs in Africa tear apart a boar or something like that?
And you're like you're
haven't
lining
seen
that up.
You haven't seen that. You should look it up. It's
And-
real. It happens all the time. Packs
and you're
of
that-
dogs.
And you're tying that into the repulsiveness
The gunas.
of their
Other feces. Yeah.
other feces.
No, my point is the different animals go into these different gunas. Grass eaters, seed eaters, sattvic. Live animal eaters, like eating. A lot of animals eat live animals. They are rajasic, and then there's a certain category, the vultures, right?
Oh, yeah.
Scavengers. They eat the dead carcasses. They
That's
prefer.
tamasic.
They prefer. That's tamasic. They prefer, and with that, you get a type of consciousness, and you could do it to yourself too. You want to become more sattvic? You eat grains. You eat seeds.
Or
you
like-
eat leaves. You eat fruits.
Mhm.
You want to become a little bit more rajasic? You eat flesh, fresh flesh. You want to become tamasic? You eat dead flesh.
Mm. Okay.
Think about that. I have.
All right. Thank you for that, Raghunath. Thank you for that. Shall you continue?
Please.
Read up till 33.
The living entity is exactly like a dog who, overcome with hunger, goes from door to door for some food. According to his destiny, he sometimes receives punishment and is driven out. At the other times, receives a little food to eat. He's driven out, and other times he receives a little food to eat, right?
Mhm.
Dog comes around, get out of here, get out of my yard. Or, okay, here, throw this dog at your potty. Similarly, the living entity being influenced by so many desires wanders, right? Not just in this life, wanders in different species of life
Hmm.
according to destiny. Sometimes he's high and sometimes he's low. Sometimes he goes to heavenly planets, sometimes to hellish planets, sometimes to middle planets, and so on. That's
One more.
okay. The living entities are trying to count. This is a great part of the Bhagavatam. Huh? The living entities are trying to counteract different miserable conditions pertaining to providence. Other living entities, or the body and mind. Wait, I'm sorry. The living entities are trying to counteract different miserable conditions pertaining to providence, other living entities, or the body and mind. So these are the three types of suffering. This was disguised.
Mhm.
These,
Threefold
three
miseries.
kleshas, threefold miseries. Right. Still, they must remain conditioned by the laws of nature, despite all attempts to counter these laws. So this is our conditioning, is this gross machine that we're born into. We're conditioned by this machine. I have natural we call them inclinations. That's our conditioning. And where's that conditioning coming from? It's coming from your karma, the family you were born in, your position in life, the type of money your family you were born into, your health of your body, the neighborhood you were born into, your taste, even within a family where you raise all the kids the same. One kid has an inclination that's different from all the other kids. Why? That's from your karma from a previous life. You brought it into this family.
Now get it out.
Get it out of here.
Okay. I think we're done for today, Raghunath.
Oh man, what a fun show today.
All right, man. You're all fired up. This tour is doing you good, Raghunath. It's got you.
Yeah, let's hope
see.
I have my voice tomorrow.
Yeah, let's see what you look like after tonight's show.
Mara, anything of interest today? Mara Mosh Pit?
Yeah, I got some good takeaways.
Poor Mara. It was tough to bring her to that hardcore show. I was like, I don't know what she's gonna.
She was a good girl before that show, before that tour.
She's a good girl. You know. Yeah.
It seems like you might have more to say. We get to takeaways. If you understand the gunas, you can live a happy life.
Okay.
Engage your senses in bhakti and transcend.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Don't underestimate the potency of the people you hang out with.
That would be dangerous to do that.
Yeah, don't underestimate it.
Be careful what you consume and develop a higher taste.
Careful on tour, Raghunath. You consume all kind of stuff.
I've been very, very careful.
Okay.
It started with a bunch of vegan donuts. I was like, I'm not eating this.
Okay.
Dog is gluten-free.
I was like, nope, it's okay. I'm going to pass on these donuts. You know how hard that was, Kostuba?
Well done, Raghunath.
Thank you. Hey, why don't you bring me a donut?
No.
No. The
That
gluten-free
changed.
vegan
How quick?
ones.
How
It wasn't
quick? Oh, where do I get one of those?
the donut plant.
Yeah.
Their best
They have-
donut they make is gluten-free vegan.
Oh, you mean the
Oh, man. It's so
sourdough? Sourdough.
Maybe. No, just don't ask for sourdough. Just ask for what's gluten-free.
Those are the gluten-free ones. The sourdough ones. I think. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Those are yeast-free ones.
Yeah.
Okay, gluten-free. I'll look into it. I'll see if I can do that, Raghunath.
Yeah.
There's going to be peanut
Of course, you're going to be in New York all day too. You can go do it yourself.
I could do it myself. Hey, we're having halava at the show
All
tonight.
right. Vegan halava.
Come meet Kostuba at the show.
All right, I'll
Back
be
to
there.
takeaways. Back to takeaways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your addictions are choosing and possessing you.
Oh,
Say that again.
Your addictions are choosing and possessing you.
They're choosing you.
Yes, your addictions are choosing you.
What does that mean?
You're the one who said it.
Oh.
Like you're not you're not in control.
Oh, your
They're controlling you,
addictions.
being controlled by your addiction.
you're not choosing them; they're choosing you. They're choosing for you.
Oh,
I think is
okay.
what you want to say.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Yes.
Got it. Sattva brings clarity.
Okay.
That brings clarity. I like that.
Good community raises the bar.
Raise the bar. We're raised the bar
And
from Harrisburg.
watch how your red sweatpants affect your mind.
Oh yeah, they're very bright. Raghunath, very bright. What's going on? Now you got red glasses. You see, it was kind of a gateway thing too. Now you got red glasses.
I like red. I like stepping out. I like being a little loud.
Okay.
I'd wear all white, people. I'd wear all white, but it would be over quick.
The question is,
Know that.
what image does Raghunath have in his mind that made him want to dress all white? Is it like one of those Long Island, what are they called? The Hamptons kind of all dress all white parties. He's like, oh, I can mix with those people.
I'm thinking like a Sikh.
Oh, like a Sikh.
Like a
Mr.
Sikh,
Clean.
not like one of those guys in the white linen shirts walking around. Hi, welcome to
Hey.
Hamptons.
Have you ever been to the Hamptons?
This is a Long Island. What's that?
Have you ever been to the Hamptons?
Yeah, my brother has a house there.
Look at that. Very
My brother has a
posh.
house in the Hamptons.
I've never been to the Hamptons.
You're not missing anything.
Yeah.
Unless you guys are from the Hamptons out there, you're missing it. You're totally missing out.
What about dressing all white and going to one of those parties?
With those open what do they call the shoes? Open toe
Loafers?
sandals. Open toe sandals, white linen pants, white linen shirt. My hair combed over to the side.
Little
If I
breeze
had
blowing through
hair.
it. Yeah. That could be your next identity.
I could wear these glasses.
You could be like a Hamptons guy.
I could be a Hamptons guy. I could never be a Hamptons guy. First of all, I'd spill something immediately. Second of all, I don't have good hair. Third of all, I'd spill something again. I'd be completely stained by the time I walked out of that Hamptons party.
And you'd be spilling on other people too.
And if I wear open toe shoes, I'm stubbing my toe.
All right. Well, you don't have to wear open toe shoes.